Rain has a way of hiding things. The storm drowns out the footsteps, blurs the faces, and makes every shadow look alive. But sometimes, what the rain hides is worse than what it reveals. Tonight, you're about to hear 3 true stories that prove a rainy night can be the perfect cover for something you'll wish you never saw. Story 1 will take you inside a lonely house at the end of a dead-end road, where the rain doesn't just pound on the windows. It learns your heartbeat. A knock on the inside of the door, a pulse in the floorboards, and a presence that wants more than shelter. It wants to move in. Story 2 begins with an innocent late-night taxi fare. A passenger, soaked to the bone, asks to be taken somewhere that doesn't exist on any map, East Hollow. But the deeper you drive into the rain-slick streets, the more the city dissolves into a place you remember, but have no memory of surviving. Story 3 will take you to a rental house where every corner stays dry, because something in the walls is keeping it that way. A constant drip with no source, stains that spread overnight, and the terrifying truth: corners are doors, and someone has just opened one. Keep watching, because in these stories, the rain isn't just weather. It's a knock you can't ignore, and once it's inside, it never leaves. Story 1. When the rain knocked back. You tell yourself storms are just weather with a costume, wind in a cheap sheet, thunder on stilts. You tell yourself this because you're alone tonight, and the house at the end of the dead-end road doesn't like it when you're honest about fear. The power's already flickered twice, and the rain, God, the rain, doesn't fall so much as lean against the windows like a mob waiting to be let in. You've got your phone at 20%, a flashlight that rolls when you set it down, and a hallway that seems longer during storms, as if the house grows a spine. You turn up the kettle to boil because the whistle is a human noise, busy and domestic, and you need that. The storm answers with a rip of thunder that rattles the spoon in your mug. Knock. You freeze. The sound isn't on the door. It's softer, like knuckles on wet wood from farther away. Maybe the fence gate, you think. Maybe a loose shutter. Maybe your imagination finally paying rent. Knock, knock. It's a pair this time. Closer. You get up, hating the part of you that believes in bad ideas, and creep to the front door. The peephole shows nothing but a sheet of water. The porch light a smeary halo. The air is cold the way a mouth is cold when it's about to say your name. You unlock the chain, then stop. Your fingers remember something your mind hasn't yet. 3 days ago, that same knock, and no one there. The sound of wet footsteps retreating without footprints on the doormat. You locked both locks after that, and told yourself it was teenagers. Then last night, the knock again, softer, like something learning your rhythm. You slept with the bathroom light on. Today, around noon, the old neighbor with the bow-legged beagle yelled across the ditch. You hear the creak? It's full of quiet folks. He laughed, then coughed for too long. Don't go opening to the rain. You keep the chain on and open the door an inch. Your porch is a rectangle cut out of the storm. The rain-washed yard is a smear of black and chrome. No one, but you feel the pressure of someone near. The way you can tell when someone stands behind you in a line, even if you haven't looked. Hello, you say, because fear is weirdly polite. The rain hisses. Somewhere down the road a branch gives up its fight and snaps. You start to close the door. Knock. This time, it's on the inside of the door. You flinch, slam it, and the chain rattles. You take 3 steps back that feel like one long step chopped into pieces. Your heart does what it always does when you're caught between scream and laugh. It climbs into your throat and bats its wings. You stare at the wood like a person stares at a sleeping dog that might not be sleeping. Your hand raises without permission, and the pads of your fingers settle on the door. The wood is cold. It's also faintly pulsing. You count. 1 beat. 2 beat. It's slow at first, then it syncs with your heartbeat, the way 2 clocks in the same room eventually find each other. When you pull your hand away, the pulse lingers, as if the door remembers you and is trying to keep time. Don't. You whisper to yourself, and the house, which loves to host whispers, swallows it. You make the smart call then. You grab the flashlight and step away from the door. You go to the kitchen to kill the kettle, which has been quietly simmering toward scream, and you pour hot water over a tea bag with hands that shouldn't hold heat. You text a friend, storm bad, think someone knocked again. Then you add the thing you never send, on the inside. The little dots bubble, stop, bubble again. Want me to call you? They ask. You type, yes, and don't hit send. You don't want your voice to betray you. You also don't want to be the person who gets asked, are you sure? As if your fear needs a permission slip. You delete yes and type, it's fine, it isn't. Behind you, something shifts in the hall. Not footsteps, a dragging hush. You lift the flashlight. The beam leaps ahead of you, lands on the family photos you keep out of politeness to the past. Your mother in a cardigan like a small forest. Your dad, mid-laugh. Your own awkward teen animal face. The glass on one frame is fogged, as if someone breathes on it from inside the picture. Stop, you say to the house, because sometimes that works with dogs and children and the shadows under sinks. The house obeys because the power goes out. The kettle sighs itself dead. The rain gets louder, a crowd that's realized the microphone isn't working. You stand in darkness, so complete, it blushes. Your flashlight decides that's its cue to flicker. The beam hammers across the hall like a dying dragonfly. You smack it on the heel of your hand, and it steadies, a narrow column through rain noise. You do what no final girl should do, and what every person alone has done at least once. You walk toward the thing you hate. At the end of the hall is the door to the crawl space. You never open it in summer because of spiders, and never open it in winter because of air that tastes like coin. Tonight, in the storm roar, you realize you hear a new sound from behind it. Not a knock exactly, more like respiratory wood. Inhale, exhale. The slow hush you heard before is breathing. You put your ear to the door and the cold goes straight through bone. Beneath the rain's white noise, you hear something else. A tiny, high sound, like a child learning to tap on glass from the wrong side. You step back so hard, the floor complains. At the front of the house, your door quivers. It takes you a second to understand the sound is coming from the chain trembling. The pulse again in the wood. Slow, then faster, then, against all physics, synced with your breath. You hold your breath, and it holds too. You exhale, and feel the door exhale, a long sigh of swollen wood. You think of the creek full of quiet folks. You think of every story you've let in with your curiosity. You think of your mother's voice. Weather opens old seams, sweetheart. Don't pick at them. You back into the living room with the flashlight held shoulder high like a badge. Rain moves across the windows in sheets that look intentional, curtains being drawn again, as if the night keeps changing outfits. A lightning flare throws your reflection across the glass. For a moment, the you in the window isn't you. Its mouth lags, its eyes are a fraction too wide, and there's something long and pale behind your shoulder that slides into the edge of the frame. As the light dies, you spin. Nothing but the dark geometry of your furniture. The couch a crouch, the coffee table a little guillotine, the bookshelves a rib cage. Your phone buzzes in your pocket, a guilty friend. Power out here, too. You okay? You type, I think the rain is You stop. You try again. It's at the door. 3 dots. Then, don't open it. You don't plan to. But something in the house is already practicing being inside. The mirror over the mantel fogs around the edges, and for a second you swear you see fingers from the inside clear a small oval on the glass. I didn't invite you, you say to the room, but the rain laughs, the laugh of 1,000 small hands clapping out of time. The pulse comes again through the floorboards this time, up through your bare feet, through your ankles like shy electric fish. You turn to run and catch your hip on the corner of the table so hard, you see a bright flower of pain. The flashlight rolls, spirals a small galaxy of light across the rug, then dies. You taste metal. The rain tilts its head to listen better. You crawl more than walk toward the bedrooms. Your hand finds the wall, and the wall is wet. Inside, wet. Your palm comes away slick, and when the next lightning flash stitches sky to earth, you see your hand glisten. It's not water. It's clear, like saliva. It webs between your fingers. You press your back to the wall and slide along it until you reach your bedroom door. The knob is cold and teethy somehow, as if it has ridges, as if something took a bite and left a mouth print. You slam it shut behind you and shove a dresser in front, with a strength you'll feel tomorrow. Your breathing makes the darkness swell and shrink. There's a window in here that faces the porch roof. You creep to it, pull the curtain an inch, and look out. Rain blows in at an angle, spearing the night. On the porch, there's a dark shape standing where a person would stand if they were sheltering under the overhang. Not exactly a man. Not exactly not. Tall, but wrong in the places a person is supposed to be sure. You can't see features, only the impression of something very tired of being wet. It turns, you feel it, even if the face is just suggestion. It turns toward your window, and you jerk back as if you've been caught peering into a stranger's diary. The rain hiccups, a small stutter in the hiss. From the hall, something drags a long finger across the bedroom door, a wet squeal, like someone writing with a slug. A single word is drawn, letter by letter, deliberate and unpracticed. K-N-O-C-K. You can't help it. You knock once on the inside of your own door. The reflex is older than your blood. The rain outside answers with a single knock on the window, perfectly timed, as if it came through a shared wall. The pulse surges in the floor, in the wood, in your chest, and for a moment you can't tell who is the house, who is the rain, who is you. The dresser moves an inch, not pushed, pulled. You grab the handle and pull back. The other force is patient and warm and not stronger than you, just steadier. You lean your whole weight. The dresser slides back into place with a grunt that sounds like your father when he used to move the couch on Saturdays. The storm drops a gear. The rain now falls in small, hard coins that bounce. You hear the creek out back, speak in a tongue you almost understand. From somewhere under the floorboards comes the slow, sleepy creak of a door you didn't know you had. You put your ear to the wood and whisper, because you can't help it, because storms make children of all of us. Who are you? The voice is a long way away, or very close, but on the other side of something thick and damp. It says in your voice, a tiny echo, when you knocked first. Lightning speaks again, and the silhouette on the porch is gone. The hall is quiet enough to hear the wardrobe settle, the night erase itself, the rain be only rain. For 2 breaths, you believe that. Then the text arrives, from an unknown number you somehow know. Open, only a crack. Let the inside breathe. The typing bubbles come again, but this time you realize they're not on your phone screen. They're under your bed, making the dust ruffle, tremble like a small animal breathing. You crouch. You lift the edge of the bed skirt. It knocks. Once, from beneath you, right under your heart. The bed skirt trembles against your knuckles like something tiny is laughing in there. You lift it 2 inches and see only the dark and a fuzzed marble of lint. Then knock from the hollow plank directly beneath your chest. Not a sound up from the floor, but out from it, like a throat clearing inside wood. You yank the bed skirt higher. The beam of your dying flashlight coughs once back to life, as if the rain itself wants to see. There's a gap in the floorboards you've never noticed, a tongue-wide seam where 2 old planks meet. The gap shines with wet, and inside that shine a small surface quivers the way skin quivers when it's about to be touched. Your phone buzzes again, and this time the vibration doesn't come from your pocket. It comes from the seam. You reach, because of course you do. Curiosity is just fear that learned to stand upright, and your fingertips meet the seam's slick lip. The wood is warmer than the room. You press lightly and the wood presses back. A lover's test. Then something thin slides up through the crack, shiny and jointed like the leg of a wet insect. It isn't bone, it isn't water. It's the idea of a finger, trying on the shape. It taps the underside of your ring finger in a rhythm that is unmistakably yours. You rip your hand away and hear, through everything, the creak out back gulp. The house exhales. The dresser shudders forward an inch as if relieved. Your phone lights your thigh with a rectangular ghost. Unknown number. Open. The word stares at you like an eye. No, you say, which is brave until the voice on the other side of the door says no, too. Perfectly synced with your breath. Perfect in your tone. Then knocks once, gently. You swallow. The taste is low tide. You need rules. Every haunting you've ever heard about has one stupid, simple rule nobody follows. Don't say its name. Don't look back. Don't answer the third riddle. You decide yours is, do not mirror it. So you stop answering the knocks. You stop finishing the thoughts. The rain begins. You breathe on the offbeat. Count prime numbers under your tongue. Walk with uneven steps so the floor can't keep up. The house hates it. The walls tremble like a bass player losing the drummer. Somewhere behind the crawlspace door, something scratches a line, stops, scratches another, as if writing a word it can't quite spell without you. You drag a chair to the window and climb carefully onto the sill. Outside, the porch is empty again. The night is the color of bruise oil. Lightning snags in the trees and relaces. In that white frame, you see the neighbor with the bow-legged beagle. No dog, only the neighbor, standing across the ditch, shoulders bent like a coat hanger. He lifts a hand in a slow warning wave and mouths something. You squint. The curtain clings to your cheek like a tongue. Another flash. The neighbor isn't there. In his place, the beagle, belly deep in ditch water, staring at your window with the patient horror of animals who know something you don't. The phone buzzes again, under you, inside the floor. Then your own phone in your hand buzzes a fraction of a second later, as if the house is receiving your texts first and forwarding them. You open the message. It's not a word this time. It's a little gray bubble. Typing, typing, typing. The promise of speech that never arrives. Your screen shows, and in your bones the floor shows. And under the bed skirt the gap shows. Because this is what the rain learned from us, how to keep someone on the line. You climb down. The house tilts half a degree. The crawlspace door at the end of the hall opens with a noise like lips peeling apart. Cold air rolls over your feet. The smell is coppered and wet paper. You tell yourself storms find old doors, the ground swells and wood yields. You tell yourself the house is simply settling into a different version of itself. A thin light glows from the crack. Phosphor, foxfire, whatever makes rotting things polite enough to shine. You take a step, and the light withdraws as if shy. You take another, and it inches back, coaxing. You could leave. You could shoulder through the front door, barefoot into the rain, sprint for the car, floodlight the dark with taillights and gasoline. But the sense is strong as gravity. This isn't outside. The weather isn't weather. It's a room next to yours, and a door between rooms has come unstuck. Fine, you whisper. 5 seconds. You put 2 fingers on the crawlspace door and push enough to make space for an eye. Inside isn't so much a crawlspace as a hollow the size of a pantry lined with old newspaper that's melted into the wood like pale, illegible tattoos. Water beads and doesn't fall. The light you saw is a skin glow off everything, dampness reflecting dampness. Your breath fogs and unfogs and fogs again. And there, halfway down the back wall, is a second door. Small, an idiot size for a child to imagine, made of wood that doesn't match the house, swollen, shiny. In the center of it, because even a ridiculous door wants dignity, is a little brass circle. Not a knob, a peephole. It looks like a single coin caught in tree flesh. You put your eye to it because we're built wrong. You see nothing. Then, because the storm loves drama, lightning stitches the world, and in that flicker you see your own eye looking back, and behind it, not your room. It's rain in there, endless verticals, close enough to touch. The glass of the peephole is somehow between your eye, and acts like a slow lung. Fog, clear, fog, clear. You knock once before you remember the rule. The sound you make doesn't travel forward through the door. It travels backward, into you. You feel it in your jaw hinge. You feel it in your molars. The peephole blinks. Something on the other side knocks back, and it's not on wood. It's on water, made hard by attention. The house goes quiet, the kind of quiet that's really just every small noise holding its breath. Even the rain outside gentles. You hear the creak talking backwards. You hear the under-the-bed seam laughing without sound. From the peephole comes the oldest prank in the world. Let me in, and I'll tell you a secret. What's secret? You ask. Because the word secret is a hook on a rope, and children never stop being children in the places that count. Another knock. Your name, in your mother's voice, as if she's standing on your porch and it's December 23rd, and she brought the sugar cookies nobody else can make. Right. Then your father's joke voice mispronouncing your name on purpose like he did when you were 13 and dramatic. Then your own voice whining, I'm fine. I said I'm fine. The peephole cycles faces like a slot machine. A dozen yous at slightly different times of day. Different hair, different light. The last one is you right now, staring at you here. And behind that you, past your shoulder, is a long pale shape and the suggestion of fingers testing the air for seams. Not clever, you say. And your reflection mouths along, slightly late. You step back. The house steps with you. You step to the left. It lags and corrects. You're training it, you realize. With every mirrored reflex you've offered, you've taught it your cadence. Rain is patient. Houses are patient. You are not. So you ruin the rhythm. You laugh at the wrong moment. A bark on the inhale. You hop 3 steps forward in a quick stutter. You clap twice, then stop midway through a third and let the silence crash. You hum the first 4 notes of a lullaby and then replace the 5th with a cough. You talk without moving your lips. You move your lips without making sound. You become jitter math. Off tempo, off temple, off. The house hates you again. The dresser skids forward and back as if unsure of who's leading. The word on your door, knock, glistens and sloughs, letters softening back into the smeared slug line they were born from. The bedskirt sags in a sulk. The peephole's light dims. The wet finger in the floor seam retreats, a little ashamed. Good, you say, and every frame in the hall tilts a degree to the left as if disagreeing. You slam the crawl space and throw the deadbolt, a foolish theater because there isn't a lock in the world that keeps out something that is your breath. You haul the dresser deeper into place and wedge the chair under the knob the way grandparents do in movies. You sit with your back against the bed and count the kettle whistles in memory to calm your hands. The rain outside shifts registers. It isn't coins now, and it isn't curtains. It's hands again, thousands but tired. The creek mumbles itself back into the dark. For a minute, maybe 5, the house behaves. You risk a text to your friend. If I go quiet and the storm keeps, send someone to bang on my door. Loud, offbeat. You add a laugh emoji so she won't panic, then delete it because you don't want to teach the house what you think is funny. Her reply comes, already on your street, headlights hitting the ditch in 2. You hadn't asked her to come. The thought of another heartbeat in your space makes your stomach buck. But the human part of you aches for one stupid normal face in your doorway saying, "You are being dramatic, drink water." Headlights swell across your curtains, a big dumb blessing. Tires hiss. A car door thunks. Footsteps splash. Then 3 knocks on the front door, hard, uneven, human. You could cry. You rush, throw the chain, drag the chair away, pull the door open on the middle knock to ruin the sequence. And there's no one. Just the storm, wearing a person like a cheap suit, already wet through, already sloughing off. The yard is empty, the street bent into shadow. Your friend's text arrives. Can't find your turn. There's a tree down. Wait, did you just open the door? Don't. You slam it. You count your breaths and try to make them ugly and asymmetrical. You hold one so long you see starry fleas. The floor's pulse misses 2 beats, like a drunk drummer, and comes back wrong. Good. Keep it wrong. From the bedroom a new sound. Soft, velvety, not knocking, dripping. You run in to find the ceiling has grown an oval of damp over your bed. Not a stain, an outline, a full body print, as if the ceiling has been lying under something heavy that matched your shape. The drip comes from the mouth area, slow, deliberate. Each drop lands on your pillow and blooms a little blossom shaped like an O. The rain, even in your ceiling, is practicing speech. Your phone rings. Actual ring, old bells sound, so out of place you bark a laugh. The screen says your mother's name. Your mother is alive, yes, and she would call in a storm just to say unplug things, but not at, God, what time is it? This hour. You answer on speaker and set the phone on the dresser so it won't know your ear is there. Sweetheart, your mother says, and the delay is wrong. A millisecond of ocean between you. Open only a crack. Let the inside breathe. That last sentence isn't hers. That last sentence is the creak. You hang up and block the number and block the idea of the number. Your breath comes in crooked bars now, jazz you didn't know you could play. You start speaking in nonsense syllables to yourself, a glossolalia of panic, and feel the floor's pulse fray. Somewhere a deadbolt you didn't set slides home. The storm decides it's bored. Just like that, the rain eases, not into silence but into regularity, the honest noise of water doing water's job. The house uncurls from around your shoulders. The mirror clears and stays clear. The peephole in the crawl space is only brass, dumb and blank. The word on the bedroom door is only a slug trail. Your phone is only a phone. Your friend's texts cohere into swear words and map shares and, I'm actually 2 streets over. My GPS hates your road. and finally a picture of her car hood with rain-like pearls. You don't open the door, not for an hour, not for two, when a pale line appears at your curtains and the birds make little coin sounds in the ditch grass, and the creek gives a grateful belch. You open only enough to let the day prove itself. The air smells like wet coins and broken branches. The doormat is soaked and empty. The neighbor's beagle shakes itself in the yard and looks pleased to be dog again. You shower. You throw the pillowcase away. You boil water and let it scream and don't turn it off until it begs. By afternoon, the sky is a bruise that decided to heal. Your friend finally arrives with coffee and a lecture. You do not tell her everything because friendship has its own rules. One of them is don't give your friend a map to the dark. You nap on the couch and wake to the normal headache you always get after storms. It's only later, days later, when you think you've starved the house of your rhythm, when you've trained your heartbeat to be private again, when you've stopped listening for answers from the wrong side, that you go in for a checkup because the pain in your hip from hitting the coffee table is dumb and persisting. The clinic smells like printer, paper, and old oranges. The doctor is kind and distracts you by talking about his cat. He warms the bell of the stethoscope in his hand before pressing it to your chest. He is quiet for a moment and then moves the bell to the left, to the right, to a place near your sternum. His brows knit, not in alarm, just in polite confusion, the way people knit them when trying to identify a song on the radio. "Do you hear that?" he asks. You don't. Then you do. Not a murmur, not a double beat. A second rhythm, faint and patient, unfussed by your breath, unbothered by your nerves. It isn't exactly in your heart. It's under it, behind it, practicing. The doctor smiles to make it nothing. Probably artifact, he says. Sometimes the room speaks. He taps the stethoscope gently with his fingernail. Knock, and the little sound comes back from inside you. The tiniest echo, perfectly timed. You laugh it off. You go home. That night, no storm. You sleep like a person who has survived a story and believes the credits rolled. At 3 a.m, with the street dry and the sky a black sail, you wake to a small, polite sound. Not from the door, not from the crawl space, from you, from your ribs under your left breast. A patient knuckle tests the wood of your bones from the inside. Knock. It pauses, waiting for your answer, and you lie absolutely still, and the stupid oldest reflex in the world fills your hand, like electricity, because even now, even after everything, the urge is not to scream. The urge is to knock back. Story 2. The taxi that took the long way around. You drive nights because they pay better, because the drunks tip higher, and because your landlord doesn't accept excuses in place of rent. Tonight the rain's been coming down in sheets so heavy your wipers may as well be painted on. The streetlights smear like someone's been crying over the city. The radio is tuned to some late-night jazz station that keeps cutting out between trumpet wails, replaced by bursts of static that sound like whispers if you let yourself hear them that way. It's 1:43 a.m. when you see her. She's standing under the flickering sign of the old Fairmont Hotel, the one that's been closed since the fire 5 years ago. Her dress is dark and clings to her like it's jealous. She's got no umbrella, no bag, just herself, her face turned up toward the rain like it's telling her a secret she's trying to memorize. You slow down because she's in the road. She doesn't move until your headlights pin her. Then she steps forward and opens your rear passenger door without asking. The smell comes first. Damp earth, like a garden after a storm, and something older, incense and burned paper. She slides in, shutting the door soft enough you almost don't hear the latch catch. "Where to?" you ask, because it's your job. She doesn't look at you in the mirror. Her eyes are on the blurred city sliding past the glass. "East Hollow," she says, voice smooth, no hesitation. Your fingers tighten on the wheel. East Hollow isn't a neighborhood, it's a road. Or it used to be, before the floods washed half of it into the river a decade ago. There's nothing out there now but broken asphalt, half-collapsed houses, and a single gutted church. "You mean East Hollow Street?" you ask. "No," she says. "East Hollow." Something about the way she says it makes it sound like a destination and not a place. You think about refusing. This isn't a ride you'll want to explain to dispatch, but there's something in her tone that makes you shift into drive before your brain catches up. The meter starts ticking. The rain seems louder against the roof, like it's leaning in. Traffic thins as you leave downtown, buildings giving way to warehouse shadows, and the occasional all-night diner lit up like a fish tank. You try a little small talk, just to break the hum in the car. "Rough night to be out walking." "Not walking," she says. You glance in the mirror, but she's looking straight ahead. Her hair is plastered to her temples like she's been underwater, not just in the rain. "How'd you get to the Fairmont? Nobody goes there anymore." "I was already there," she says, as if that's the simplest thing in the world. You want to press, but something in your gut says, don't. You focus on the road instead. The further you go, the more the streetlights seem to stretch apart, like they're losing interest. The rain doesn't let up, though. It just changes. The drops turning fatter, slower, louder, until each one feels like it's marking time against the roof. You try the radio to fill the silence, but every station is just static now, a rushing hiss that almost matches the rain. You turn it off. She speaks suddenly. "Turn left here." You check the GPS. There's no road there. She smiles. Not at you, at her reflection in the dark window. There is tonight. Against every shred of sense you have, you slow and make the turn. Your headlights catch the gleam of wet asphalt, where, according to every map, there should be nothing but overgrown lot. The road curves sharply, dipping downhill, the water on its surface running in quicksilver streams. The air in the car changes, warmer now, thicker, like the inside of a greenhouse. You roll your window down an inch to breathe, and immediately regret it. The smell of that damp earth rushes in, along with something sharper, metallic. In the mirror, she's closer to the glass than before, as if she's leaning forward, studying the road ahead with a hunger you don't like. Her reflection seems slower. When her head tilts, the image in the glass takes a fraction of a second longer to follow. The buildings here are wrong. You know East Hollow is abandoned, but what you're passing doesn't match your memory. The houses are intact, but old in a way that feels staged, paint peeling in perfect patterns, curtains faded but not torn, every window holding its own dull rectangle of light, even though you can't see a single lamp inside. "Almost there," she says, and it's the first time her voice has softened. The road narrows until it feels like you're driving through a throat. Trees crowd close, their branches dripping long strings of moss that twitch in the breeze like they're breathing. The rain has stopped, but the windshield is still wet, as if the water's coming from somewhere else entirely. The meter clicks over another $1. You think about how far from the city you are now, about how no one knows you took this fare, about how no one saw her get in. "Here," she says, and points. You follow her finger to a building half lost in shadow. It's the church, but not the burned-out skeleton you remember. The bell tower stands whole, the windows glow, and the heavy front doors are open just enough to show a sliver of red carpet inside. "Pull up front," she says. You do, but you keep your foot on the brake. She doesn't move to get out. You're stop, you say. Her eyes finally meet yours in the mirror. They're dark, but in the same way deep water is dark. There's movement in there, shapes you can't name. This isn't my stop, she says. You turn slightly in your seat. Then what? She leans forward, closer to the glass between you, and says, this is yours. Your hand slips off the gear shift. Outside, the open church doors swing wider, though there's no wind. The red carpet inside is wet, shining. It takes you a second to realize the shine isn't water at all. Behind you, the back seat feels heavier. You don't remember letting go of the brake, but the taxi is rolling forward now, the light from inside the church spilling over the hood. Somewhere in the back of your skull, a thought tries to rise. You haven't heard the rain on the roof since you turned onto this road. The doors are opening wider. The hood passes over the threshold of the church doors, like the cars crossing into a different season. The air is warmer inside, damp and stale, like old breath trapped for decades. Your headlights throw long, sickly beams down the red carpet, catching on dust motes that shouldn't be floating if the place is alive. The tires roll without your say-so. Your foot is pressing the brake, but it's as if the pedal isn't attached to anything anymore, like you're pushing down into nothing. Your fare is silent behind you. In the mirror, her reflection doesn't match her posture. She's sitting upright in the glass, but when you glance over your shoulder, she's leaned so far forward, her chin is almost over the divider, as if she's sniffing you. Her hair is bone dry now. You kill the ignition. The engine dies, but the meter keeps ticking. That's when you notice there's no sound, no rain outside, no tires rolling, no hum from the dash, just the faint, steady creak of the church doors settling on their hinges. You grab the door handle, but it won't give. The locks are up, yet the metal feels fused to itself. You should go inside, she says, her voice syrup-slow, as if each word is being dipped and drawn out. Not my stop, you manage. She tilts her head and the motion is wrong, like a marionette whose strings were yanked too quickly. It is. You've been here before. You shake your head even though something in your bones stirs at her words. Then you see it, just past the end of the red carpet, in the center aisle. There's water. Not a puddle, more like the floor drops into a pool, dark, glassy, motionless despite the warmth in the air, and in the water something glints. Your headlights flicker. The glint is a license plate. It's yours. A soft weight presses against the back of your headrest. You can smell her now, soil and paper again, but underneath it, a faint metallic tang, like coins in the mouth. You left something, she says. You can't help yourself. You turn. She's smiling, but her teeth aren't quite aligned. The smile looks borrowed, too big for her mouth. Her eyes reflect the glow of the dashboard in a way human eyes shouldn't. They catch the light and hold it, like water holding the shape of a stone, just dropped in. There's nothing for me in there, you say. Her hand lifts, slow, pale, and rests on the divider. Only, it doesn't rest. It sinks in. The plastic ripples around her palm as though it's the surface of a pond. She pushes through until her fingers curl in the air on your side, dripping something that is not rainwater. Go on, she says. It's already paid for. The radio bursts to life on its own. It's no longer jazz. It's your dispatcher's voice, panicked. Car 6, do you copy? Car 6, you're not on the GPS. Where the hell did you turn? You lunge for the mic, but her other hand lands on your wrist. Cold, not ice cold. Cold like the memory of water you never dried off from. You'll just take the long way again, she says. The car shudders. The water inside the church ripples once, twice, then starts spreading. It's not spilling over the sides. It's climbing, creeping along the carpet like a stain. When it reaches the threshold where your tires are, the smell of river mud fills the cab, and then you hear it. Not the dispatcher, not her voice, your own voice from the radio saying, "Go inside." You slam the shifter into reverse. The car doesn't move. The water is under you now, lifting the frame like it's on a ferry. The church doors keep widening, and the red carpet beneath the black water seems to go on forever. She leans in close to your ear. "We don't have to knock," she whispers, "because you left it open last time." Images flicker in your head. Your car parked here years ago. The same rain, headlights on the same doors. You remember stepping out into the warm damp, drawn to the glint in the water, reaching, and then nothing. Nothing but the sound of tires on wet road, as if you drove away but left something important behind. The water reaches your door sills. She's already half vanished into the reflection in the divider, her body dissolving like paper in a flood. Only her face remains, floating in the glass, smiling that wrong smile. "You're late," she says. The car lurches forward, pulled by something you can't see. The water rises around the doors, up to the mirrors, swallowing the tires in perfect silence. Your headlights dim, but you still see the license plate under the surface, yours, and next to it, a steering wheel. The reflection of a driver slumped over it. The passenger seat in that submerged car is empty. You look back. So is yours. The divider glass fogs over, and on the inside of it, a single wet word appears in dripping strokes. Fare paid the water tips, pulling the car nose first into the dark beneath the church floor. You have the sudden gut-deep feeling that if you just open the door, you'll be able to breathe down there. The smile in the glass winks out. The dashboard dies, and for a moment, you're certain the rain has started again, until you realize the sound is only your own heartbeat, slow and steady, waiting for the next passenger. Story 3. House with no dry corners. The landlord called it charming, which you figured was code for old enough to have ghosts but not enough wiring. Still, it was cheap, and the rain in the city had been relentless this year. You needed somewhere with a roof, even if the roof creaked when you shut the front door. It started the first night. A single drip from somewhere in the house, deep and hollow, like water falling into a bucket in a room you didn't know you had. You checked the kitchen sink, the bathroom tap, the radiators, all dry. But the sound kept going. Slow, patient, always just out of reach. By morning, the drip had spread. Not faster, just multiplied. Now there was one in the bedroom, one in the living room, one from inside the hall closet. You told yourself the house was settling after the storm. Wood swells. Leaks happen. Except these drips didn't pool. You'd follow the sound to its source. A corner, a windowsill, even the middle of a wall, and there'd be no water at all. Just the echo of a drop hitting something soft. 3 days in, your roommate, Cass, noticed it too. She came out of her room with her hair plastered to her temple and her shirt damp at the collarbone. "Did you spill something in the hall?" she asked. "No. It's wet in front of my door." You checked. The carpet outside her room was darkened in a perfect oval, as if something had been standing there dripping all night. It was warm to the touch. The smell wasn't mildew. It was faintly sweet, like overripe fruit. Cass didn't say anything else, but that night she locked her door. You heard it. The click of the bolt, and then her phone pinging with voice notes to someone. Later, curiosity got the better of you. You pressed your ear to her door and caught fragments. "It's in my pillow now. Walls are soft. Sounds like it's listening. On the 5th day, the rain outside finally stopped. The street steamed in the pale sunlight, and the air smelled briefly of clean asphalt. Inside, though, the drips went on. Louder now, quicker, as if they'd been building pressure. You opened every window to air out the place, but the sound didn't change. That night, Cass didn't come out of her room at all. You sent her a message, no reply. Around 2 a.m., you woke to the smell, stronger now, syrupy, and the sensation of damp air moving over your face. You sat up to see a perfect circle of darkness on your ceiling. It bulged inward slightly, trembling as if it were holding something back. You grabbed a pot from the kitchen, but before you could place it under the spot, the circle vanished. No stain, no wet, just the faint tick of a drip somewhere down the hall. By the end of the week, the whole house felt humid, even with the windows open. The wallpaper in the hall bubbled and softened under your fingertips. In the bathroom, you found condensation on the outside of the mirror. When you finally caught Cass in the kitchen, she looked different. Paler, her hair limp, her eyes slow to follow yours. She held a mug, but didn't drink from it. "You hear it all the time now, right?" she asked. You didn't answer. "It's in the walls," she said, almost gently. "Everywhere except the corners. It hates corners. That's why the landlord said not to block them." You remembered the lease, the one-page joke of a document that included, in all caps, "Do not obstruct the corners." You'd thought it was some weird airflow thing. "What happens if you block them?" you asked. She just smiled without teeth. "Then it has to come out somewhere else." That night, you pushed your bed into the corner of your room. You told yourself it was an experiment, that you'd prove Cass was just spooking herself. The moment the frame touched both walls, the dripping stopped, completely. The silence was shocking, like someone had cut power to the world. You lay there, grinning, victorious. At 3:17 a.m., you woke, choking. The air was heavy and wet, and your sheets clung to you like you'd been swimming in them. You sat up and realized the walls behind your bed were weeping. Clear fluid ran down in thin, steady streams, soaking your pillow. The sound of the drip was back, but it was coming from under the bed now, fast and irregular, like a heart. You didn't move the bed back that night. You just lay there, the damp soaking in, the sweet smell filling your mouth. You dreamed of a house that pulsed, each room a lung. In the morning, the drip had slowed again. Cass wasn't in her room. The oval outside her door had spread to the baseboards, climbing them like ivy. You followed it into the living room, where the rug squelched underfoot, and then you saw it, a wet handprint on the wall, right where two corners met. The fingers were too long. Before you could get closer, something in the wall moved, pressing out from inside, the way a fish noses against the side of a tank. The wallpaper stretched, and a bead of water rolled down from where the shape's head would be. It hit the floor without a sound. The bead of water at the base of the wall trembled, as if deciding which way to roll. You knelt, half expecting it to be just damp plaster. It wasn't. The droplet wasn't absorbing. It was growing, drawing more fluid from inside the wall. You could see it being fed, swelling, until it slid forward on the floor like it had weight, like it had a mind. It stopped at your toe. The wallpaper bulged again. This time the shape inside wasn't just a vague head. It had shoulders, a hand pressed out, 5 too long fingers dragging across the inside of the paper, leaving trails that darkened instantly with moisture. You backed up, your socks making small squelches. "Cass," you called. Nothing. Then, her voice from somewhere deep in the house. "Don't answer it." You froze. Answer what? A knock. Not from the door, from the wall. The knock was muffled, but the rhythm was deliberate. 3 beats, pause. 2 beats, pause. 1. The fluid in the droplet at your toe quivered in perfect time. Something behind the bulge exhaled. You saw the wallpaper expand with it, then draw in, then expand again, each breath releasing a humid puff that made the air syrup thick. You stumbled back toward the kitchen, looking for Cass. She wasn't there. The oval stain from her bedroom had spread all the way into the kitchen tiles, climbing the walls in dark, irregular veins. The refrigerator hummed like normal, until you realized it wasn't the fridge at all. The hum was coming from inside the wall, the same low, vibrating tone you'd felt when you put your hand on a train track as a kid. Something was moving, slowly, closer. The first voice note arrived then. Your phone buzzed in your pocket, nearly making you drop it. From Cass. It comes when the rain stops. Corners are doors. I think I opened one in my sleep. You listened again, hearing it under her whisper. The same dripping sound you'd heard since day one, but faster now, more impatient. Another buzz. Second note. If it finds you, it will leave you dry. Not just you, everything you've touched. Like you were never here. The third buzz didn't come from your phone. It came from the wall directly behind you. A long, low vibration. You spun and saw the living room corner, the one you'd been careful never to block, glossy with moisture. The 2 walls there were flexing slightly apart, like lips parting to speak. From inside, the drip became a stream, pouring onto the carpet and soaking it in seconds, and then, through that wet opening, a single, pale arm slid out. The skin glistened as though it was made of water, and light in equal measure, and it never dripped. It was too wet to drip. It didn't reach for you. It reached for the far wall, palm flat, fingers spreading, like it was trying to measure the room. Another arm followed, then a head, faceless except for 2 indentations where eyes should have been. Each indentation was brimming, liquid trembling inside like it wanted to fall. You backed into the hallway. Every corner you passed was glistening now, swelling inward like they were being pulled from the other side. You realized you'd been wrong. The drips weren't random. They were counting. Each sound was a step closer to full. You reached Cass's door. The oval stain there was gone. The carpet was dry, brittle. You pushed the door open. Her room was empty. Not just empty of her. Empty of anything. No bed, no clothes, no smell. The walls were bare, pale, and completely dry. Your stomach turned because you understood. She was telling the truth. It had left her dry. And whatever it took everything connected to her. Something moved behind you. You turned in time to see the faceless figure in the living room step fully free of the corner. Its body didn't splash. It held together, trembling like water in a jar just before it spills. Where it stepped, the floorboards darkened, the wetness spreading outward in rings. You took a step back, and the floor under your heel breathed. The boards flexed upward, a wet gasp rising between them. The figure tilted its head as if listening to your pulse. Then it stepped toward the hallway, toward you. Every corner along the hall flexed in rhythm with its steps, bulging in, waiting. You bolted for the front door. The air felt heavier with every stride. The drips were deafening now, overlapping into a single, rushing sound. You hit the doorknob, warm, slick, alive, and yanked it open. Outside, the street was bone dry. The clouds had parted. The sunlight felt wrong on your skin, thin and strained, as though it was shining through water you couldn't see. Behind you, the figure stopped in the doorway, one hand braced against the frame. For a moment you thought it wouldn't follow, but then it stepped out, and the sunlight bent around it like a straw in a glass. Where its shadow touched the sidewalk, dark ovals bloomed, perfect and warm, dripping in slow, endless rhythm. It looked at you, or through you, and the indentations where its eyes should be filled, two perfect drops trembling at the edge. You knew if they fell, they'd never hit the ground. They'd land on you, and then every drop in your body would belong to the house. You ran, and the sound of the dripping followed, steady, patient, counting, waiting for the corners to find you again. If tonight's stories have taught us anything, it's that a rainy night can be more than just bad weather. It can be an open invitation, a knock that isn't coming from the porch, a fare that knows where you're going before you do, a house that listens for you to block the wrong corner. The next time the rain starts hammering your windows, remember, you can close the curtains, you can lock every door, but you can't shut out something that's already inside. Which story will you remember when the storm comes back? Will it be the house that learned to breathe with you? The taxi ride that took a turn into somewhere you shouldn't exist? Or the walls that dripped even when the skies were clear? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to know which one will keep you up tonight. And if you've ever had your own rainy night encounter, tell it. You never know. Your story might just be the one that keeps someone else awake. Until next time, stay safe, stay dry. And if you hear a knock in the rain, don't knock back.